I would also think that the avoidance of thermonuclear war and the arms race is something that would be another area where science and religion would obviously cooperate. We've seen the horror of what that is like, and we, I think, again, would have common ground in providing ethical controls upon the use of science with regard to weapons of mass destruction. So science is itself ethically neutral. It doesn't have a method for determining right and wrong, good and evil. And so we need to have, I think, ethical constraints for the use of science, and certainly warfare would be one of these.
So let me just jump in, because you talk about it as if religion could. Let's take thermonuclear war. Religion could certainly come together with science and abhor nuclear war, but it's not religion. There's nothing in the text. It's rational thinking. It's concern about how things work. There's nothing divine about saying that destroying humanity is a bad thing. So people of faith can come together with people of no faith to work towards a common good. But it's let me finish. It's rational thought that's very important. And in fact, I would argue that if it was those Canaanites and they had a nuclear weapon, you would have been really happy about dropping one on them.
Okay. I'm gonna wait on the Canaanite quip, because I think that was probably a cheap shot.
Wait.
Cheap shot. I
need
quoted
to say
him.
something here. You're simply incorrect when you think that science has inherent ethical guidelines
Honesty,
within it. Science,
full
as you have
disclosure,
said,
transparency.
you've said many times, science describes how the world is. It doesn't tell how the world ought to be.
Yes, I'm sorry.
In order
I
to
disagree
have
with
that
you.
moral
I disagree
ought,
with you. It tells you if
you
you're
have to have
dishonest
something that is
and not
extra
transparent,
scientific.
You'll come to results which are in disagreement with empirical evidence, and you'll make bad policy. That is ethics.
Okay, Lawrence, one of the standing rules within the history of philosophy, especially over the last 300 years, has been that an is does not necessitate an ought.
Yeah,
that you can't. Well, okay, I understand that you might not agree, but you did make a very, very strong claim before in the course of your presentation that there is, in fact, a morality that is founded on science itself. Dr. Craig has said that science, that's actually part of the limits of science. You obviously disagree with that. I wonder if you could begin making, if you like, not so much the moral case for science, but why science has a morality inherent to it.
I would say morality is impossible without science. That's the point. Because, and religion is an example, as I say, I can't think of a more immoral document than the Old Testament. But the point is, if you don't know the consequences of your actions, then you can't even decide what's right and wrong. And so and so we have seen people's morality, if you want to call it morality, change. Slavery might have been okay because you might have believed that certain groups were inferior or not human. Science has told us that's wrong. You might have believed, as almost all religions do, that women are chattel. Science has told us that's wrong. You might have believed that homosexuality is evil. But science has told us that all mammalian species have homosexuality. There's nothing unnatural or evil about it. So to have a morality without science is empty.
That would at most show that science is a necessary condition, not a sufficient condition of morality.
Okay, fine.
There's no basis in science. There's no way you can determine that what the Nazi scientists did in performing medical experiments on living human beings was morally wrong. That moral values are not found in a test tube.
No, I'm sorry, that's not true, because that's such a simplistic argument, and people bring up the Nazis all the time when they want to talk about atheists or science. The point is that you could say it's wrong because it causes pain. It causes pain and torture, and in fact, pain and torture hurt people. And to have a sustainable, productive life, you should not be in pain.
Why is it wrong to cause pain to other members of your species?
You can ask,
animals do that all the time.
The point is, all of these things are based on rationality. The laws of this country are not framed on Christian principles. They're framed on rational arguments about what causes the greatest benefit for the greatest number of people. There's nothing Christian about it, or Jewish about it, or Islamic about it. It's based on rationality.
But Dr. Krauss, Dr. Krauss, surely you concede that the assumption that the good is that which brings about the greatest flourishing for the greatest number of people
It's not an
is
assumption. I can
itself-
ask that question. I can say, is it better for the greatest number of people to flourish? I can ask that question. What happens to society? What happens to productivity? What happens to the reduction of violence? You can ask these questions just like this. All these assumptions you make about the orderly nature of the universe, it's not an assumption. We can investigate it. Are the laws of physics today the same as they were yesterday? It's not an assumption. I can test it. All these things aren't assumptions. They're empirical evidence.